Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us for Realtors Who Rock. I am Justin Montour, your host, and with me today is Katie Hintz out of Century 21 Scheetz. Hi, Katie.
Hello.
We're getting back a couple years here of being friends, being co-compatriots on the committee for My Born Next Gen, I think is where we originally met, right?
2019, 20,
I
yeah.
think so. 19 and 20, right? Because we were the grizzled COVID veterans of that committee and had to do all our events virtually.
Yeah, we did some weird stuff.
Yeah. We had to get up to, yeah, we were the first one that we had an event and it was like there was an outbreak and we're like, oh, no one come to this event. We're
Yeah.
cutting this out. Yeah. We did all the setup. We got the room all set up for the event and then didn't
Oh
do
my
the event.
gosh, I
Remember
forgot
that?
about that.
Yeah,
We
that was
built a tree. It was supposed to be like camping themed. Yeah,
yep.
I
Yep.
remember that.
Anyway, so out of the harrowed times of COVID, we get to be friends, and you just kick butt in the real estate industry in general, but particularly this year has been super profitable. So I wanted you to be on Realtors Who Rock and share some of your knowledge and insight. And I've always appreciated how collaborative you are in general. You have a real abundance mindset, and you don't. It can be a competitive industry, and people can take competition to different levels, but you've always been very free-handed and willing to share. So thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is
Yeah.
honestly my first like podcast.
Oh, wow. All righty. Well, the people clearly a hidden gem, the hidden gem of Carmel. It's Katie. So I want you to tell us a little about you, what you did before real estate, and how you got into real estate. And I know you have all sorts of fur babies that you're going to brag about. So tell us about your fur family.
Well, this is my 6th year in the industry. Married to a pretty awesome dude. We've got a whole zoo. Just built a house. We're in Carmel. We love it. We're very like tried and true Carmel people. Don't talk crap to us about it. It's amazing. It's the coolest place.
There's some in the water up there.
It's special.
Yeah.
People just talk crap because they're jealous.
They're jealous. That's it.
But it's awesome. We love living here. I kind of sell really wherever. I'm born and raised Central Indiana. I grew up in Hamilton County, went to school at Butler, lived downtown, moved away for a few years, came back. And yeah, so I kind of go wherever my people are, which is kind of spread everywhere. But yeah, that's a little about me. We do, I guess in our off time, we both work a lot. And so in our off time, we do a lot of traveling, which I know you know a lot lot.
Yes, you do. You're constantly Carmel envy and travel envy. It's just
Yes.
you're just inspiring a lot of envy in people.
But we do, yeah, that's kind of our main motivator, if you will. We don't
Sure.
have kids and love to get out and just go new places, and both have jobs that, really accommodate being able to do that. So
Yeah.
always kind of looking forward to the next trip. Uh,
What's been your most recent favorite trip that you've been on?
So I went on my first cruise this year, and I didn't want to be that girl to be like, I'm a cruiser, but like I'm a cruiser. I got off and I wanted to get right back on. Like I loved it. It was so fun. We went for my husband's 40th. We took 20 people, and it kind of felt like adult summer camp. Like we were just going all the time, doing so many fun things. I really like to like dig my heels in wherever we're going usually, and like research it all, see it all. And so I never really understood like why do people just want to like just only spend like 12 hours in one place. But I will say there is so much beauty in that. Like every morning you'd wake up to the sunrise and you'd be coming into a new spot, and the ship comes in and like goes around the island and you can see it. And there was definitely places we stopped that I was like, glad we saw it, don't really need to spend a week there. And then there's other places that I'm like, we are coming back for a week. So it was a nice little like taste to be able to do a lot of different stuff. And so I
Wow,
loved that. Yeah.
that's awesome. First cruise and it made a believer out of you. Now, before we started recording, we were talking about whiskey and whiskey tours, and you just mentioned how you appreciated how passionate people were talking about whiskey, and just watching you talk about travel, like the passion that you have. It's just like you might want to consider travel agency at some point.
I got good
I'm
girl at use.
I'm, I'm
Off the
already
hook.
like ready to go on I'm ready to get on a boat now. I'm ready to go on
Yeah.
a cruise. So,
Yeah, I think everyone should do it. It's crazy though. So my husband's parents even came on it, And then my mom, she would like knock it on a bow, but she was like, I don't want FOMO. And so our first stop was Aruba. And so her and her boyfriend went for a week trip in Aruba and like met us at our port so they could like be a part of it, but without
Oh, that's
being a part
awesome.
of it.
Yeah,
So
that's
yeah.
fun. I mean, 20 adults. Yeah, imagine it would feel like adult summer camp. And I don't even know. I can't seem to wrangle 4 people to figure out a place to eat dinner, much less get 20 people on a cruise. So good for you. Yeah, that's the sales. That must be the sales skills coming
I
out.
think I think that it was.
Yeah, and I mentioned the fur babies. We'll superimpose some pictures of them here after in the editing process. But tell us about them.
I've got two mini Australian shepherds. One's sleeping, joining us as an assistant. So we've got a 5-year-old one, and then we just got a puppy. So we got a sister this year, and it's wild. I think it was he was like the trick baby because he's like really good dog, easy to potty train. Like she is just like partying all the time. She's crazy. So I don't even know what she's doing. I hope she's not like eating my house, but
Yeah, yeah.
she's
Drywall. Yeah, yeah.
she's crazy. And then we've got a very old cat, old lady cat.
Old lady cat. That's right. Tell me about, so you've had a great year, and I think in April you had a pretty major achievement on the real estate side. Can you tell us about that a little bit? Go ahead and brag about it.
I did. I hit a $2 million month. So our company celebrates $1 million months. And yeah, I don't think like $1 million month is something I hit every month. It's something I would love to. And so the fact that I hit it all kind of lined up. So
Wow. So they had two parties for you, one for each million. Right.
I've got the one.
Okay. Well, that's a red one.
It's fine. We take it. But no, it's cool. It's been a really good year, and I like to like talk about that with people, not to like really brag or anything, or even to other agents. I think it's very encouraging, like with rates, how they are, with the volatility of the market. Like I think it's just if you put in the work and you like follow your processes, like things really pan out. And so I just haven't really. It's been like I haven't had that scarcity mindset. I've just been like, it's out there. People need to move. Let me serve my clients. Let me focus on the right things. And it's just really like come back to me this year. So
That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, you can definitely brag about it a little bit, but I mean, I don't know many people that get the $2 million mark, but it is, I mean, to your point, it should be an encouragement. I mean, there is business to be done. And that's something that I have to remind myself on the lending side too. Is like, yes, it's not as brisk as previous years have been, but there's always going to be a need. And
yeah.
people are going to need shelter. And it's been a lot of strange kind of square pegs and round holes on my side of the world, but it's still people who need loans and need the service and need to get in someplace. And it gets kind of hackneyed at this point, going 2 years into it, but you buy the house and you date the rate. I mean, you get into it, you don't love your interest rate, fine, but those are eventually going to come down, and you're still going to have a house that's still appreciating in value, that's still building generational wealth. There's a ton of pros to it. So good for you. Congratulations. That's awesome.
Hey.
So, 6 years of real estate, what has been your favorite transaction so far?
Hmm, that's a hard one. I just closed one last month when I think about it, and it was probably my favorite just because the journey to get there. Like we started probably 3 years ago, and not that we've been looking at houses. It's just I think they wanted to make this move for so long, and we were just kind of really trying to make it work, and they were great because they didn't settle, just to like get into a house. They really were like very specific on this move, and they closed last month. We found them a house. It kind of really just worked out, but just really good people. Yeah, I don't want to
Well,
share
there's
too
a
much,
there's a
but
common thread. Almost everyone's favorite transaction that I've interviewed has something to do with a long amount of work. It's not like the one you would think a transaction that was easy and smooth and without any kind of speed bumps would be the ones that come to mind, but it's the ones that people had to get gritty and had to be creative or took a long time and took
yeah,
3 years to find that's probably the dream house that if they had to wait 3 years to find it, it's probably.
it's their dream for sure. And it's I don't know. It was just so cool to like see. I kind of got to a point where I like started to doubt, like, are we gonna ever do this? Like, is it out there? Because it was just a really hard one to like pin down. Like, I don't think there was one specific thing. Like, if I was trying to find them house, I don't know that I could. They had to like find it themselves because it changed so much what they really wanted and what was important to them. So
Sure.
I don't think they knew until this one came up. So
Wow. Well, yeah, think about it. I mean, 3 years is such a long event horizon. I mean, yeah, you could have a lot of life change. There could be kid family changes and all sorts of things, job changes that could impact the neighborhoods, what you're looking for. So, yeah, that's I would imagine those folks must have been. I mean, you hear 3 years, you assume someone's pretty particular
yes,
of what they're.
it
But
was it was
when it's
really
a changing, when it's yeah, when they keep moving the field, the moving the how do you say that? Moving the
yeah,
post,
like moving the mark
moving
or
the mark.
yeah,
Oh man, that's
I know
gonna
what you're
it's gonna come back later. It'll be mid question now.
saying.
So on the other side of the coin, what's been the least favorite transaction and why? Why was it your least?
I almost was like, maybe don't ask this one because I don't like to be negative, but um I would say 'cause I have a little follow up with it. I would say one that didn't get to the closing table. They walked away the day before closing. They were buyers of mine, and at the end of the day, that's such a hard situation to be in as a realtor because my alliance is to protect and serve my clients, do what's best for them, even though like I did not agree with walking away. You know what I mean? I didn't agree with it. I didn't think it was ethical. I didn't think it was right what they were doing to the sellers, but I still had to do my job, put my emotions aside. And looking back, I actually didn't ever make it to a closing table with them. And looking back, kind of like seeing how I got there was not really like a lot of trust in the relationship between, like, I don't feel like they ever truly trusted me or felt like I was like guiding them. There was not a good relationship built no matter how hard I tried. And that is one of my biggest pain points is when I have a client who does not feel like they can fully like put their trust in me, I don't really see that relationship taking off. I don't want them as clients.
Sure.
Like I need to do my job, and if you have doubts or questions, let's talk about it.
Right.
So that was a weird one. That was a hard one. That was
Was that
like,
earlier in your career or was that more recent?
it was within the last 2 years
Oh,
actually.
okay. Okay. I say when
So
you start out, you feel like you have to make every transaction work and have to take every
right,
client on, and then as you get more established, you start getting
right,
those vibes where you're like, "This is gonna work for anybody." I've had
yeah,
folks where like we're halfway through the pre-approval process. I'm like, I'm gonna refer you. It's like if we're already at this point and we haven't even got to the hunting part, then yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Well, that was, yeah, tough one, but I think I was really hung up on it for a while too. But definitely like made my peace with it and tried to be like, what do I learn from this? And, I think one of the things was, I don't have to take everybody, even if they're in my immediate circle of friends, if they're friends of friends, because that's where a lot of my business comes from. Like I don't have to say yes if it's not a good fit. So
right, right. Well, you mentioned trust there too, and it's like it's of peak importance on your end of the transaction and mine. I mean,
yes,
I tell my first timers picking a realtor and a lender is like picking a doctor and a mechanic. I mean,
yes,
these are people that you have to trust to know what they're doing because there's a whole swath of things that they need to know that you don't really need to know. I mean, you don't need a PhD in mortgage lending to get a mortgage, but you need to trust somebody. I don't have a PhD per se, but I've got I've been doing it 7 years, so it's the equivalent of a PhD.
yeah, for sure,
Uh,
for
yeah.
sure.
But to your point, that feeling, especially when you helped them to end the agreement that you didn't even want them to walk away from, you knew it wasn't fair, and you're doing things on their behalf, and then for you to not feel like they ever trust you. Unfortunately, it wasn't a closed transaction, so it doesn't answer the question. So we're going to rewind, and you're going to start over with what habits and routines do you believe have set you up for success? If you have any, I've had some folks answer that question; they don't have any. But do you
Um,
have some?
well, I think I'm a pretty habitual person. Like I like a routine. Um, I think, being self-employed, owning a small business, like I have to, outside of work, I have to, have those routines, like even like morning routines, exercise routines, all the things. I think within the business, our team is really like process focused,
Mm.
so that we're always like checking ourselves. Are we giving the best service? Are we, really, are we answering the questions before they're asked, And so I think that is the biggest thing is we use like a great tracker system, from really at whatever part of the transaction or in the search, wherever you are with our team, like we have some kind of system to dial in on. And so using those to really just making sure like every T is crossed, every I is dotted. It kind of answers the question, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Well, I know how habitual you are because, girl, I've tried to schedule coffee with you. So it's like 6 weeks in advance. We have to get you squeezed in between the workout and this other appointment. And yes, yeah, you got routines. Yeah. Now you're on a team within Century 21. So are you competitive with the other members of your team, or do you feel like you really more compete against yourself?
I still feel like against myself. Our team is awesome. I joined before it was really a team, so I was like a part of building that team.
Before it was
Um,
cool. Before it was cool. You were on that team before it was cool.
yes, and I don't know. It's kind of we all want to do well. Obviously, when I see like Denise or Macy, going past me, I'm like, "Oh, I gotta catch up," But I don't really I don't think all three of us like. I don't think any of us have that mindset of like, oh, I want to do better than her. We all just like collectively want to do good. So I'm always just trying to like outdo the record for me, just do better and better and better.
Yeah,
Um,
that's
you know,
awesome. Yeah.
yeah.
We may have buried the lead a little bit. I'm going to ask you, what are you most proud of? If the $2 million month is that, that's great. If you have something else that comes to mind, what you're most proud of in your
Yeah.
career.
I think it is building a team. Just like looking back at where we've come, I really hooked up with Denise like 2018. I actually, I knew I was making the transition to real estate. I think I had Century 21. Like I think that was where I wanted to go. That's the most involvement I had, just because the builder I was with was always linked up with a Century 21 agent. But I actually had a completely different team picked out. That I was like, I'm going to join this team out of a different office.
Hmm.
And then my last placement was with Denise. That was the first time I really worked with her. And I was like, this lady is so different from me. And I think there is something to be said in like working with somebody so different. And I think her business had exploded. She needed help. So I looked at this other team and I'm like, what am I bringing to the table? Like they've already got amazing marketing. They do a great job social, like maybe some more market share if I, bring in new clients. But I felt like Denise was still on her own, but she was just like, she's kind of just like trying to not sink, just like keep, she was selling all the houses, but then like the back end of her stuff wasn't like what it should be. And so I was able to like bring all that in. And then, so at the beginning it was her and I, and then we hired on an assistant and then another assistant, and then Macy joined us. So I got to really like play an intricate role in everything from like branding, building social media, putting, writing the processes. So I feel like that's like my baby. So I think I'm most proud of that and just how our team functions and works. And it's a really good little system we've got.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's fun. Yeah, well, it's kind of you don't want you didn't necessarily you're a pretty vibrant personality. I'm sure there's a part of you just didn't want to be like blend in with the rest. I mean, to be kind of a bigger fish in a not smaller pond. But I love
Yeah.
what you said about identifying how different. I mean, how many successful people do that? That they
Right.
put people in their court that are different and think different and respond differently because
Right.
that's going to that's going to sharpen each other. Sometimes
Yeah,
it goes the other way. Sometimes it can just be too different and it
for sure.
create friction. But
When I didn't know, I didn't know what I didn't know, I guess, joining. And I knew I was this way, but I would say I was not data driven. I was not a numbers person. And now, like, fast forward 6 years, I'm like, I don't want to talk until I'm able to like go through the data, digest it. You know what I mean? Like, but I get that from Denise because, my first 6 months, I like followed her around like a little puppy and she taught me everything she knew. And so she's literally a mathematics degree from Boston University. And she's just, she thrives with the numbers, loves them. And so I think she made me love them. So how I interpret data is how she taught me to. So,
that's
yeah.
awesome. That's very cool. So, what would you say? You mentioned market share in the last answer. What are your primary sources of business or clients? Where are those coming from?
They're really, I guess, sphere referral. Yeah, that's really where they come from.
Yeah. You mentioned that hard transaction were folks that might have been friends or friends of friends. So you feel a lot
Yeah,
of like personal sphere that comes to you for that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, at the beginning, I was like taking all the trainings of people were telling me to door knock and cold call, and I was like, this just feels icky. Like, I don't know how else to describe it. Like, this is not me, and this I will not be successful doing it this way. And so I was like, I've got to figure out how this is going to work for me. And I went back to my previous career and kind of like, I was like, how was I successful at this? And realized like it was really just the networking aspect and so yeah, I did the whole like I'm a realtor now, and I started putting it out on social, and I started a book club, and I really just kind of grew through friends, referrals. Now it's a lot of repeat business, but yeah, I cannot convert a warm lead on a listing from hello. Somebody will call me about my listing, and I'm not salesy, or I can't convert. So I just had to figure it out, and I think tie it back to the trust. I got to feel like I've got a good relationship thing going on. So
Mhm.
that's where it comes from, and it's the long game, right? You get those kind of clients, and it could
Oh,
be
yeah.
3 years before they buy, right? So just like making sure I'm like nurturing that all the time, staying in front of people. But
Yeah.
it works for me.
I love that you said have to make it work for you, because there are people who make cold calls work and door knocking work, and that's just
100%.
the thing that they have gotten over it on their own end, or at whatever inhibitions they had. Some people just have way more of a blockage when it comes to that. So that's awesome. Yeah, love that. You've already mentioned a couple different ways you market your business. And so I know social media is a big part, and envy is going to be just a recurring theme, I think, of this interview, because you mentioned your book clubs, and I'm always envious of that to you. And the spreads that you put out for these book clubs, I'm like, this girl is hostess with the mostest.
Well, it used to be, I used to host it every month. And then as everyone started buying homes and stuff, they wanted to host. So we actually go to somebody else's house every month and they do dinner, but it's awesome. It's so fun. And yeah, it's become like more supper club, I guess, if you will. So,
Yeah, yeah,
um,
very. I mean, this it's bougie. It looks
yeah,
bougie. Yeah, it looks
but it's
it's.
great. It's so fun.
I'd have been. I mean, I like to read, but I mean, I haven't been in a book club in years. I would probably stick out like a sore thumb in your group. But I'm like, man, it makes me want to. It makes me want to read and bring people to my house to read with them.
You're like, I'm
Well,
here for the food.
yeah,
I just read the
that's
book this
right.
month.
I
I'll be in
just
the
show up
corner.
and take a to-go plate. Book sounds cool. See ya. Are there other ways that you market your business? How would you phrase
Yeah. I definitely do a lot of social media. I kind of have a little system. I do some print marketing still. I think that goes a long way. I use the like 36 touch system. I don't know if you've heard of
No,
that,
talk
but
about
it's
that.
great. I think you would love it. You probably do something similar where, I pick
I would love if
25
someone touched me 36
people.
times.
I don't want anybody to touch me. I don't like that term. It's
Actually,
just
hold on.
weird.
Yeah, we're gonna edit that part out. No, tell me about this. This sounds
Um,
fun.
but you pick a, select number. It can be like friends or previous clients or whatever. I usually see like where referrals are coming from, where my business is coming from, and I really try to target those people. Just staying top of mind, right? Because that's the biggest thing in both our industries. It's
Yeah.
like everyone knows realtors and lenders. So I, some of it is print marketing, client events. I do like little pop by gifts. And I always am trying to give something that's like a tangible item that somebody would want. Like I'm not just being like, hey, I'm a realtor. I'm a gifter. I like to, give little things, and it may have my business card or whatever on it, just as like a peace of mind. So I just try to stay in front of people that way. But yeah, social's huge for me. I would say I live there a lot. So.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. Yeah, that's well, and you mentioned staying top of mind, and it is important. I think on the lending side, I think more lenders focus staying top of mind with their referral partners, and I've made a point over the last 2 years to stay top of mind with previous clients. And I'm not talking about it's no 36 point system. I'm
Yeah.
just there's a few things I do over the course of a year, especially the first year after they've closed with me. And some of it honestly came from I just missed these people. I'm in
Yeah.
it hot and heavy for a month with them, helping them get their loan. Then all of a
Yeah.
sudden, we don't. You never call, you never write.
I always tell people, I'm like, this will be a fleeting romance. We'll talk every day. Like, we'll see each other all the time. And then when closing happens, like, we're done. Like,
Yeah,
that's it.
yeah.
And it's sad. But
There's like
same, I the system, it was something that I found that like, was already like, here's this solid thing, but I was like, let me take this and make it my own. And so I started doing things that I knew I was going to do anyway. So like birthday cards or a birthday gift or, a little pop by, like a home anniversary, same thing. Things I was already doing. I just started like making it work and realizing like this feels good. It's stuff I want to do anyway. And it's a way to like, just merge business and life a little bit more.
Yes. Yeah.
And
But I've
every
seen more, even more general, like from compared to previous years. 23 and 24 so far have had way more previous client referrals, and
yeah,
some of that, especially following up within that first year after, I've found when people buy houses, their ears perk up when other people are buying houses. It's like when
yeah,
you buy a new car and you're out on the road. That's the only car you see now. All of a sudden, everyone's
yeah.
got a Prius. Where you got to buy a house, and it's like, oh, you're buying a house. Here's my friend Justin, and
Yes.
I've had a lot more previous client referral base that I compared to years past, and it's like, yeah, I'm not doing I touch base probably every other month for the first year, so it's like 5 or 6 touches, but it seems to be just that amount has seen an increase. What advice would you have for a new realtor joining this industry? And nothing really important happened on July 1st that changed the industry in any kind of way. So taking current events into mind.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe this wouldn't impact the advice you have at all. But new realtor joining, what would you tell them?
I don't know that NIR would impact it too much. Just wait for the dust to settle on it. It's
Mhm.
changed, right? It's
Mhm.
changed. People get used to it. For a new realtor, my advice would be, um, before if you're sitting down with brokerages or people talking, potentially joining a team or not a team, and they're just talking, it's more than just splits, right? Stop talking about splits. Like
Mhm.
find somebody who's going to speak some like knowledge and truth into like how you think you want to run your business. Like find a mentor, find somebody that you can really lean on to learn because the classes are classes, and um, it's not a sure way to like set up a successful business. So really just like building your people that you can lean on. Do the homework. I think like, get your finances right, your ducks in a row. Talk to an accountant ahead of time. I think a lot of people dive in not understanding this is not your normal W-2 pay. You're now a contractor. You need to set taxes aside. What's a write-off? Like, do you have an LLC or an S corp, and like what are the benefits? Like really doing all of that ahead of time. People are thinking, well, what if I don't bring enough money to matter? Like it matters. It matters if you close a $10,000 transaction or if you bring in $200,000 that year. It matters. Like so, just getting that all set up, finding the right people. Like just don't worry about your freaking splits at the beginning. Like find a place that you feel like this is like a place I can be supported, and people will help me out. And I think that's my advice. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great advice. That's great advice. Well, and you mentioned, I mean, like getting yourself set up, and one of your answers earlier, we talked about how am I going to make this work for me? And
Right.
something I feel like a common thread for a lot of realtors that I work with is you have to have a level of self-awareness before
Yeah.
you get into the business. You can't just fumble your way into. Some people I think feel like they might have fallen backwards into real estate, but most folks have a good enough sense of who they are, how they operate, and
Yeah.
what's going to work for them. Because there's a million ways to do it, and there's a million different types of realtors, and there's a million different types of lenders, and we all kind of have our own approaches. So I like that. Definitely set yourself up at the beginning.
Yes, and it's okay. I mean, the first like year, maybe even 18 months, like you're gonna feel like you're all over the place. And you're gonna try out all these things, and that's okay. Like you don't expect to come into it and have these systems that, took me 6 years to get here. It's okay if you want to try door knocking and be like, I don't like this, and then you're gonna try pop buys and you're like, oh, too much work, and you find it wherever. And so you're gonna feel like you're all over the place. Somebody gave me this tracker too at the beginning that they were like, track your activity, like
Mm.
because even if you're having a phone call, with your best friend, and she's like, "Oh, I think we need to like sell a house," and you're not even really like talking about it. Like it still is a real estate conversation or a handwritten note, or you take somebody to coffee. Whatever you're doing, like track your activity because you're running 24/7. And I've set up my mind to be okay with that. But in the beginning, you feel like I just ran around all freaking day long and I accomplished nothing. And then you look back and you're like, oh, I did so many things. And so the tracker is good because, you know, you look 3 months forward, 3 to 6 months after that, you look back and you're like, what was I doing that generated this business? And so really keeping it organized, because when you're first trying to do it, you don't know where your business is going to come from, and you can't expect to just like do things for a few weeks and then be like, oh, this is where it's going to come from. You know, you got to put in the time, you got to try out different things to really understand how to get there. So
Right, that's awesome. What opportunities should people in real estate be taking advantage of today? Are there zones, opportunities that you're seeing that you're taking advantage of that you don't see other realtors jumping on?
I think social media is, like, cliche as that may sound, for me, but it is a free CRM. Whatever it is, right? Like YouTube video, TikTok, whatever it is, you know, find where you live. Like I live a lot on Instagram, a little bit on Facebook. It is a way to just literally like post, just look at my cute dog. Oh, girl cat has joined. Sorry. Look at my cute dog. Look at the house I'm showing. Like, you know, just staying in front of people in the simplest way, and not, you know, not even having to think about it. It is such an easy tool, and people overthink it and they're like, I don't know how to do this. And it's like, just start, you know?
Yeah.
And you get so many people who are like, oh yeah, Katie's a realtor. That is the number one way. I'm not saying like I get tons of business from social media, but I think I am always top of mind because of it.
Yes. Yeah, that's huge. Yeah, you're not wrong. I mean, it's funny for how long it's been around and how, I mean, everything I hear from every podcast and blog is with lenders, you know, doing not just social media, but video content.
Yeah.
I hear. See,
Right.
I'm listening. Trying to provide some value, not just referral sources, but like even people who might be considering moving into the industry. And yeah, it's one of those things, especially once you get into it. Yeah, it's work at first. But I would say you can get to a point of comfort, and you know most of these places let you block out your content now, where like you can just take an hour or two in the morning and schedule 10 plus posts. It's like you don't have to be in it every minute of the day. Now, there's some tips and tricks there with how to, you know, which algorithms are you trying to beat? And, you know, you got some lenders who post one thing a week. You know what? You're probably not getting a lot of action.
Yeah.
If you're posting one thing a week, you're not reaching a ton of audience, and if you're not interacting with other people, your stuff isn't showing up to them. So it's, you know, there is a game to it, but
Yeah.
God above, there are so many resources that you can avail yourself of to make that an easier thing. And people in our line of work, well, I should say in our age frame, I'm in lending for 7 years, so we got into the business about the same time, and we're going to be dealing with this a lot more than the people who've been in it for 20. You know, Denise been doing this a long time. She might not need a robust social media.
Right.
But I've had 2 clients this year who were referred to me from previous clients, and they said, hey, so and so referred us to you, and then we looked you up online and saw that you were doing. I mean, and I don't know, you know, the word of mouth is still very important, but that social proof in the back end, we didn't have to deal with that before.
People look on social for your credibility the way they look on like Zillow reviews or Google. I think they want to see you, they want to see what you're doing, they want to see like that you're approachable, they want to see that, you know, oh, like, yeah, like we do the same things, we go to, you know. So I try to share like business and life on it, you know, if I'm at a cool restaurant or whatever. I think that makes like people be able to connect with you so much more. So and even if people don't understand the algorithm and don't understand, you know, all the different things, it's like, just dip your toe in and just start sharing a few things, because even if it's to, you know, 40 of your like friends and family, it just grows from there. Right. So.
Yep. Got to take a step somewhere. Exactly. Yeah. Good. What is the best piece of advice you have ever received?
I was thinking about this one a lot. I don't know that I've gotten like the advice, but I guess more of like a saying, if you will, or a quote. I was trying to think of something. I had a few of them. Now I can't think of one.
Oh man. Well, you can summarize it. We will let you misquote if you have to misquote it. I can put it in the show notes.
I'm thinking of like too many. I think, okay, one of my favorite quotes is like, it's never too late to start. That's one of my favorite ones. Like whatever it is, if you're social media, if you want to become a realtor, if you want to become a homeowner, like I think that's probably one of them. And then just in life in general, I love the things in life that make you rich are free. Have you heard that
I
before?
have not heard that. That's great.
I always just try to this is like a very fast-paced, flashy industry, and I like to just slow down and I always think about that when I'm like, where do I want to spend my time? Who do I want to spend my time with? Like, what is there to appreciate about life? I always think about that. So,
Says the travel voyant who goes all over the globe. That ain't free, girl. You ain't getting those trips for free.
where all my money goes.
But the experience once you get there, I mean,
Yes.
seeing those things, you're taking those mental snapshots. No, I know what you're saying. That's nice. That's good. That's some real feel good. Come on, oh, some feel good stuff. We gotta bleep that out. That's fun. That suits everything I know about you. Those two quotes. That's
Okay,
great.
good.
Um, okay, so we talked about the least favorite transaction, which kind of leads into this question. What failures have you experienced and what did you learn from them?
Hmm, I forgot to think about that one. Um,
You've never
I guess,
failed, so it's really tough. It's tough.
yeah, I'm just really perfect. I think like my first year in, I felt like I failed. I don't know that I failed per se, but I don't know. I set a lot of goals that I don't think were really attainable, not really realistic. So, my numbers weren't what I wanted. I don't think I really was, I don't know. I didn't feel like a failure, but I didn't feel like I
Sure.
wasn't sure this was meant for me.
Oh, I like where this is going. Yeah, I mean, if
Um,
you set unattainable, I mean, setting attainable goals. That really the only way you learn that is by setting unattainable goals and learning.
yeah,
Oh, I didn't put the right parameters on
yeah.
there. So, no,
But
that's good.
my transition from like my last job, that was my first job. I really got out of college, and I was there for a long time, and I feel like I worked really hard to get where I was. So I was proud. I felt, respected. I felt like, I was earning what my worth was. I felt, I had developed all these skills, and I loved it.
That
And
was in
so,
the new build sector, right? That you were at.
yes, yeah, and new construction, and then making that move, it was like starting from ground zero, and
Mm.
I was like, holy crap. It was humbling. I got used to just like money rolling in, selling all the houses, doing good for this and that. And then it was just like, okay, what? Like, and there was no, I mean, why was so successful at that is because I had like amazing leadership and an amazing training program, and they patted me until I felt like I was ready to go.
Mm.
Um, it's not like that in real estate unless you're going to work for somebody. As you get going, which I don't think I would recommend because I think that just stunts you. So I think that change was really, really hard for me. And so I was questioning, like, did I make the right move? This isn't as easy as I thought it was going to be. So I think that first year I felt like I was failing, I felt like I was not good at it.
Right.
But I don't know anybody who joins and thinks year one, they're like, I'm amazing.
Yeah. No, most folks' first year is pretty rough. I mean,
Yeah,
most folks get baptized by fire in the real estate world. So, but that's good. What you learn, I mean, learning to set attainable goals. I mean, that's transferable skill.
yeah,
That's gonna go with you anywhere. I mean, you'll be a realtor forever, but but if you went anywhere else, I mean, that's just a really good. Yeah, that's a good
yeah,
lesson.
for sure.
So, yeah, where can our listeners learn more about you? Reach out to you. Tell me all about your all your platforms. I know you mentioned Facebook and Insta.
Yeah, find me on Insta. I'm just Katie Hintz, Hintz, not Heinz. And that's for the best place. Syncs to Facebook and everything.
Yeah.
That's my life. You'll see the fur babies. You'll see the vacations. You'll see the houses.
See it all. See it all.
Maybe a motivational quote once or
You have to put the ones that you ran off today. Never too late to start. No, that is so true. Yeah, there's one. And also, these people. I think that I didn't get to circle back around to that when we were talking about it. Never too late to start. And there's also something about your don't compare where you're at in the journey to other people's journeys. I had buddies who wanted to do certain things by the time they turned 30, and when they turned 30 and they hadn't done them, they thought like, well, I guess that's just not going to happen. Like, Who says? Who said you? People go back to school at 75 years old. You can go back to college and get a degree if you want. I mean, it's your journey is yours. So it's like, however long it took you to do it is how long it took you to do it. Just because you didn't do it by this arbitrary date that you have in your head. So
Yeah, 100%.
good. Well, as always, a delight to talk to you and chat with you and learn from you. So thanks again for joining us on Realtors Who Rock. And for the folks that are listening and watching, find Katie Hintz, Hintz, on Insta. And we'll put that in the show notes. We'll put pictures of the fur babies. We'll bleep out my cuss word. It'll be great.
That's pretty good. It was only one.
Yeah, yeah. I reined it in.
No,
All
it
right.
was awesome. This was so fun. Thank you. It was easy, good conversation like always.
Great. All right. Well, have a good day. See ya.
Bye.